Hey, beautiful everyone. Oh my God. We are in Mason County. And it kind of became a little bit infamous when it was on the Geraldo show years ago when it was he called it Satan County. I don't know where they find their facts, that there's more Satanists here than anywhere else. I don't know how you count them. I don't know how you find them. We passed another old sign that said we are on the old Olympic highway. So good morning, everyone. I don't know what happened. Did all the rain itself out? Mankin and I just came out to do some errands, and wow, craziness. And it's, last night I was thinking, of course, about all this crazy stuff we always think about, and I've been writing about LA and all of the weird stuff there when my dad was a minister, and I had quite forgotten about living there after the whole horribleness with Bruce Bailey. See, there's the old Olympic Highway right there. You can kind of go down there. And we went, my friend Inez and I ended up doing an internship in LA to escape Evergreen and to get away from all of the nonsense, but still be able to get credit. So there was a school, someone told us about, there was a famous school, and it was, this kind of, semi-historic kind of place. And so we signed up to be interns at this school. And it was called Play Mountain Place. We had no idea, of course, what we were getting into. And it was based on Summerhill, which was a sort of 60s affair that happened back in England, near Tavistock, I bet. And it was, I don't know if it was started by R.D. Lang, he wrote about it, but it was a free school where kids could just do whatever they wanted, and they just wanted to maybe see do people just learn on their own? Are there just too many rules? So that was the philosophy of it. And so Inez and I went down to Play Mountain Place. Now, what's weird is that it was basically the school for the Laurel Canyon people. And it was in Culver City. I've got to go. I was going to do like a video where I was going to look everything up on a map, but here we are. We're out here. It's so beautiful. And it was, when you first drove up, I think you would think it was nice, on the first, maybe the very first impression, because it had the big old eucalyptus trees, and, you're pulling off of maybe some big, not so amazing place, and how lovely. Can we get off the highway? There's one of the big casinos. And so that is a kind of wild thing that happened. So here we are. We drove down, and it was a crazy drive. There'd been just huge kind of like what's going on now, floods, but weirdly and wonderfully, after the floods, the desert blooms. So it was this really beautiful, incredible drive. Now, here we are, we're at this school. It's very dilapidated, though. You kind of, once you get inside, you start to see the cracks, and I've got a story that no one believes about what was coming up through those cracks. And yeah, it was the Laurel Canyon School. We had a teacher named Anya who was really like a good teacher. She was a hippie who lived in a bus behind the place, and she knew Graham Nash. I think he was making an album at the time, and he got the kids to come down and sing songs about nuclear war. He got free labor and all of that good stuff. So shall we turn here? Shall we see what's going on here? Let's get into some little backwoodsy roads. Yeah, so there he was, Graham Nash, and there was this really famous guy named Alexander, and he was not the same one who I knew through my dad through Unity. There was another kind of famous guy that went around by just the name of the Alexander technique, some, again, 60s thing. This one was from, I don't recall where he was from. His wife was from France, and they had like a small child in the school. He was like older, but they had like a young child, and he was in the news, so it was kind of a fun thing. And what was he in the news? I feel like he was even on the cover of some crazy thing like Time or Newsweek. It was one of these kind of weird landmark cases. Hey, we could film a Western out here, couldn't we? I'm hearing the music already. We just need the horses coming over the hill. Wow, it's like really warm up, but look at the frost on the ground, right? Give me a home where the buffalo roam, and the deer and the antelope play. That looks like my grandparents' old ranch. They had a thing like that you had to open to get down, and their dogs would always run up and bark and get all excited when they would hear us coming. Wow, where are we? We're on the old Olympic Highway. So the case was it was kind of one of those, it may have gone, who knows if it went to the Supreme Court or not, but he was some kind of famous masseuse healer type guy, and had made a lot of money, had made a huge name for himself, and now he was just gonna chill out in California. He had a really cute little Jim Morrison type Hollywood bungalow, right? Just a couple blocks from the beach, and it was a really perfect little scenario for him to live in, right? And his really sweet wife. So the court case was that he had made his money. Ooh, do we see a hoarders by the water there? He had made his mock, and now he wanted to give back to the world. So he was doing free, if you wanted to give a donation, you could, but basically he was going and giving free massages at the beach, like down at Venice Beach or down by the Santa Monica Pier, stuff that was really close. And the school was close too, that we were right by Laurel Canyon there. So he, wow, that is so pretty. Oh my. Does it remind you of, what is that scene in that Quentin Tarantino movie, I Hate Scenery? We love it. So there he was, and he would hang up, it was really cute, he'd hang up his credentials like on a little palm tree or something, and it would say where he'd gotten all his little medical degrees and his all his stuff. Not that you have to know that to be a healer or whatever, but just everyone knew like who he was. He only would massage through like clothes and everything. Nobody was getting naked down there. It was public. But the for some reason the police were arresting him, and it was always for like different reasons. It was weird. So, first it was that you couldn't maybe have a business, that if you were going to conduct a business, you had to have like a business license and blah blah. And so that's when he was hanging up his license on the tree, and they're like, no, you can't conduct business. And he's like, I'm not conducting business. I'm not asking for any money at all, right? Not even donations, right? He'd made his money, and they're like, no, you can't do this. You can't do this. Look at that little guy. He's been hilarious today. So he's like, he keeps doing it because he's like, what am I doing illegal? It's not illegal to be at the beach. It's not illegal to give someone a massage at the beach if they've got all their clothes on, right? And everything is people are asking for it, right? He's not giving massages to people that aren't willing to have them. And he was super popular down there. There were so many people that were just like, oh, I live for that guy. Oh my God, I'm in pain all the time. And here's this guy, and he's just really great at it. So it was just kind of it was very interesting how LA was just so against him being there. So, he ended up, it was one of those funny, just kind of things that turns into a lawsuit about rights. Does a person have a right? Look at that. There we go. They just can't just chop enough here. Yeah, little guy. Do you want to get out? Shall we? I know, like, where do we turn around here? Where are we? Where are we headed? So he, so he would do it, and then he'd like get arrested, right? And then he'd like be in the paper, and it was a wild, wild thing. And so here Inez and I are at this school, and we're getting to know and these are some of the parents we're getting to know. And the school, like I said, it was like kind of dilapidated. You didn't notice at first. You turn in off of Wilshire, whatever big boulevard there was, Sunset, and you would just see, oh, look at all the eucalyptus trees, and it would just have that nice old growth feeling. And in the back there were chickens, and there was like naked water play, which I'm sure isn't happening now. But it was kind of laid back, but it was really, the place was filthy. And so there was this area in the back called the mush room, and that was supposedly like where you put kids that were out of control or being really bad or whatever. You would send them to the mush room, and that was where they could like mush things and get out their anger. And the mushroom, kind of like everything at that school, had been neglected for a long, long time. And are they chopping everything down so they can hold on to the trailer there? That happens. So they were... So the mushroom was basically just this horrible pit. It was a space that was between two buildings, and there was like a eucalyptus tree there. So it could be nice, but it was just kind of this junked up area. And at some point, they said, the school needs some cleaning up. Actually, the health department came. Actually, can I tell you the story that nobody believes? There were little kids that were playing in the back room of an area that was not like my kids or whatever, my group, my room, whatever. But I would go there now and then, and I think there wasn't a teacher there one day, so I was there, and there were these little kids, they were way in the back, and I don't know if they were coming up and like grabbing stuff to eat, and maybe I was like, do you guys want snack? You hungry? And they're like, no, we're feeding, blah, blah. They've got a little imagination, like they're feeding their little, people in the little doll houses way at the back of the room. And it turned out And this was like a really hellacious thing, that the children were feeding ratties. The place was so just like not clean that rats were coming out and living in the dollhouses. Kids were dressing them up or something. Oh, Fungi Perfecti. That's where it is. I had no idea. That's Paul Stamets. He's the big psychedelic mushroom guru. Inez says, don't you remember the parties we'd go to with him? And she swears Dr. Andrew Weil was there and everything. And all those guys, they all have a big white beard and a cap. You know, it's hard. But wow, so man, can look at that. Look at the places you end up when you go drive around. Fungi Perfecti. Yeah, when I first went to Evergreen, people would hang his posters on the wall of all the wild psychedelic mushroom pictures he took. So here we are at the Mush Room, and this really nice, God, I wish I could remember her name too. Alex said there's some deer up ahead right there. They're kind of wandering about. I don't know if you can see them or not. And so we are in like a little Garden of Eden, aren't we? Little Fungi Perfecti deer. Little psychedelic mushroom eating deer right there. So the mom and I were like, okay, cool. We will totally do that. We will clean up the mushroom. We will clean up that little area where the kids go that are angry. So as we were, just putting garbage in the garbage and doing all that kind of stuff, look at that, mankin. You've got company. You've got company, little guy. As we were doing that, we realized, you know what? This is a really nice space. And the more we were taking, like, stuff out... Ooh, we got a bonus one. We got a bonus, dear. The more we were taking stuff out, the more beautiful it became. And suddenly, we find ourselves, grabbing like a little oriental pot here, or, finding bamboo and bringing a thing of bamboo over. And before we knew it, we had this gorgeous, amazing, beautiful place. And as soon as the children saw it, the next day, we worked the whole entire weekend on it. We were, we were really proud of ourselves. We really went for it. And so when the children saw it that next week, Monday, they were thrilled. Like, we had no idea. We just thought we liked it, but the kids were like, in love with it, and suddenly it wasn't like a punishment place anymore, and all the kids wanted to be there, and it was just so beautiful. And what was interesting was the teachers, and not really the teachers, but the administrators, the admin people. Help, what's going on with the camera there? The admin people hated it, and they were really angry about it. And that kind of just feels like this weird thing about aesthetics that is sort of fundamental to all of this weird stuff that we're dealing with. Yikes, I've got to turn around here. So if we can hold that thought of aesthetics. And again, it was weird because we found that the beautiful place kind of just made the kids happy. And so let's hold that thought, because there's something very intrinsic about beauty. I guess there's a Russian word for people who can't experience or find joy in beauty. We don't even have that word in English. We don't even realize that it's a psychological problem. All right? Help. Much love.